Hey, everybody. Hey. Welcome to what episode is this, y'all?
16.
What?
16.
Number 16.
We are coming up on 4 months. Woo. And we are so grateful. We are so thankful. And we want to say thank you to our audience. We appreciate you all, the Spicy Squad, for always showing up, for always participating, for always supporting, for always having our backs. So we want to get this thing started. So I'll introduce myself. I am Renette, aka the Next Level Chick.
I'm Latoya Frazier, your CEO partner.
Simply Tammy.
I'm Coach Gail Benson, your favorite certified cognitive behavior coach.
Yes. So, I want to do this before we get to before we really get started. So this week, we had a spicy challenge, which was to bring people onto our Facebook page, and y'all showed up and showed out. We got to give y'all a clap.
Yes.
Y'all did that. So we asked people to bring as many people as they could, bring them on, and they would be getting a prize. So tonight, the prize goes to Positive, aka Tiffany Hall, or should I say Tiffany Hall, aka Positive. So we want to clap her up, and everyone.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Thank you all for that. And with that being said, we are going to continue that challenge this week. So you still have a chance to get a prize. Queen, we're going to get your prize out to you from last week. She was last week's winner. Thank you for coming on, Queen. We appreciate it. Thank each and every one of you all for coming on. So I know y'all say, come on, that's good. And we just love to say thank you, and we appreciate you all. And now we'll get to our topic, which is part 2, okay, of the backstabbers and breakthroughs, the glow up after the betrayal. In part 2 of our unfiltered talk on betrayal, we're shifting fully into the healing, the growth, and the glow up. Can we say glow up in the comments? Okay.
Yes, glow up.
So, yes, if you've been hurt, but now what? Because after the hurt, it's like, where do we go? What do we do? This episode is all about reclaiming your power, doing the inner work, and building the kind of life that relationships and betrayal cannot stop anything. You're going to still be spicy and able to go up. We're talking about real healing, not just moving on, but rising to the top with more clarity, more confidence, and emotional freedom. Yes, emotional freedom. If you're really ready to transform the pain into purpose, this is your episode guide. So sit back, buckle up, and let's get ready to ride this thing out. Yes. So I'm super excited about it. So with that being said, ladies, our first question is this. What did betrayal reveal about the areas within you that still needed healing? Who wants to take that one?
Ooh, that's deep. That's deep.
Very deep.
We
going deep.
That is deep. Oh. Someone else may need to start. I can't get this one off.
Let me go ahead and say, because this is a hard thing for us.
It is.
Last week, this was super hard for me because I've dealt with so much of it. But one of the things about revealing about the areas within you that you still need healing in, many times we don't know until it just happens. I mean, you might hear a song that reminds you of something. You might see somebody that look like somebody that reminds you. It's certain triggers that come up. and you felt like, oh, you were through this because maybe it happened a year or two ago, and then bam, that thing hits that you weren't even thinking about, and you didn't really realize that you were not healed. And I've seen that so many times in my life in certain situations where I felt like I was healed and I just wasn't, because it was like, oh my God, it just came all the way back to me. And it's just so hard sometimes when you think you've done the work, and you've done the work, but still it may be areas of healing. And some people think that once the work is done and you've been through it this amount of times or for this long, that it's all the way done, but it's not saying that. And what I can say to you is, even though you feel like everything is done, sometimes you're at the space and place where you got to go back. You got to go back and do some more work. And so I want to just say that, because a lot of times people feel like, oh well, it's not working, and they just stay there at the not working. No, we might have to go back. Absolutely, healing is a constant. It is definitely a constant. Tammy, you're on mute.
Let me just say this, and okay, I like what you said. So now I can get started and say this. Today is a prime example of being triggered. Okay. Um, Someone called with information. I heard the information. The person was upset, and I was trying to calm them and help them through what they had just found out. But in the sense of that, I was triggered where I'd done all the work, and um I thought I'd done all the work, but the triggers came back. And so the person in the room with me has said, they saw it, they said, "You've been triggered." And so the work and the healing has to be continuous. We can't just assume that we're just going to be perfectly healed. There are going to be things that come up and that happen that remind us of serious things that we've been through. And in that, we have to find a way, because there's a positive response to it and there's a negative response to it. And in between those is an emotional response to it. Today, I had an emotional response. Okay. I was in the middle, but so I had to be pulled back so that I can get to the point where I understood I was being triggered, and then start the work back into calming down, if that makes sense.
That makes plenty sense, Tammy, because, acknowledgement is a part of the process. And although we feel like, we thought about it, we talked about it, and we feel okay today about it. And when these things happen and we get reminded of, or we get triggered, um, we have to give ourselves grace, because it doesn't mean, because we're in our process and in our journey, doesn't mean
Right,
that we won't get triggered. The over the work that's being done, and the victory is when they do show up, when the triggers do come, how we
right,
respond to them. So our healing is a process, and when those things do come up, they will be a testament to how we've grown, and so how we respond to it. We don't have to
right,
respond to the person per se. We just
right,
have to acknowledge how we feel and how we respond to the said triggers, and allow ourselves to do that. Because I think some people have the misunderstanding, thinking, well, I'm healing, or quick to say they've healed. Healing is continuous. You don't get to a point where you say, okay, I'm done healing. As long as you're growing,
right,
you're going to be
right,
healing. As long as you're learning how to maneuver through or deal with things in a different way, in a from a growth perspective, you're going to be healing. Allow those moments to come, and just use the things that you learn in the healing process to move forward. It's just all a matter how you respond to things and people, or not.
right. Right, right.
Love it, love it, love it. And Gail, what you said.
Repetition of right suggests.
What I love what you said about not responding to the person, because a lot of times when we are triggered, we're ready to pop off and respond to that person, and we're triggered and we're bothered. But instead of understanding that we aren't responding to them, and we're going to think about what's happening with us, that's a better way to help yourself. That's a better way not to take yourself spiraling back into that thing. Because a lot of times we're so triggered and we just want to pop off and we go back
Right.
to that person. And now you're in a back and forth situation. Then you're going to keep replaying it in your mind over and over and over. But
Mhm.
once you're in the space where you are trying to heal, or you have healed, you should be able to understand, I got to do this. This is about me right now. It's not about them. It's about me.
Right.
And a lot of times we make it about them. We take it out on them instead of doing what we need to do to heal ourselves. So it's very, very important. And we always hear the term, put our own mask on first. We have to
Right.
do that when it comes to the healing. When
That's
we feel
true.
like we're triggered, we have to put our own mask on first. At this time, it is not about that person. It is about you doing what you need to do. You didn't do all that work to throw it down the drain. So always remember, hey, right now it's about me. Because if I take care of what I got going on, then I'm not. Because remember, you were a hurt person, and we know hurt people hurt people. So take care of you. Then you'll be better off for everybody else.
Right. And that's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing because it's amazing how people are so unaware of how they damage others. They are so unaware. And it's a trickle down
Mhm.
effect. It's a domino effect. Okay. Betrayal, I could write a whole novel, movie, video, shorts. I could do the whole entire shebang on that. But what I'm saying is this: there's going to happen again. There's going to be somebody that comes along and betrays you. It's all about learning how to discipline yourself to handle it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Latoya, did you want to say anything before we go to the next question?
I didn't have anything new to add. I agree with what you all have said about that. One of the things I was going to say, but I think you all have already covered it, is basically betrayal brings on trauma, and trauma changes people, right? For whether it's in a positive way or a negative way. So we have to be conscious of what that change is. And I know for me, in most cases, it's not a positive change when it comes to trauma, but I have to learn how to respond, as what Gail was saying, how you respond to the triggers that come up as a result of the trauma based on the betrayal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the next question is, how did you begin rebuilding your trust in yourself after someone you trusted hurt you? How do you begin rebuilding? Because a lot of times when you've been hurt and that person hurts you or betrays you, you start to thinking maybe it was you. And maybe sometimes it is you, but maybe sometimes it's not. So how do you rebuild that trust?
Well, you have to take a look at yourself, a deep look at yourself.
Mhm.
You have to go way down deep and look at yourself, okay? And you have to measure what's happened to you. Look at the person and look at yourself. Look at the actions. Look at what was said. What did you do? What did they do? How did you handle it? How did they handle it? You get into specifics where you start talking about abuse, whether it was physical, mental, psychological abuse, mental abuse. So then you have to start looking at yourself, and you have to start deciding, you know, can I, even when it's over, you still have to look at it. You have to look at people and decide, is this something that I want to continue to deal with in my life? And you have to take that step to decide, hey, if you don't want to deal with it, you have to move back. You have to step back and you have to step away from what is injuring you. That's just like a knife wound. You're not going to stand there and let somebody keep stabbing you. You're going to have to try to get away from that knife
Mm-hmm.
wound. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's a process. It's not easy at all. We've all had to build, we've all had to work through betrayal, through abuse, however, in whatever manner it came. So you have to do the work. You have to do the emotional work, spiritual work. You have to find people to assist and help you. And we talk about being around the right people in the right tribe. And don't be scared to get help for what you've gone through, because if someone else can help you, and let them.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So
Take the help.
you have to say about one Latoya or Gail about rebuilding that trust in yourself after someone has you trusted has betrayed you. Now, I'm asking that question, but a lot of times through betrayal, people may not feel like they need to rebuild that trust. You know, they may not be feeling like I'm not accountable for this. I didn't do this. So, is it a rebuild the trust thing? You need to trust yourself because somebody betrayed you, or how do you handle that? How does it go?
Well, for me, and I don't know if it's about rebuilding trust in myself. I don't know if trust is the word that I would reflect on. I think it's more so being more aware, right? What did I learn from this situation, and how can I avoid similar situations in the past? What role did I play in it, right? As Tammy was saying. So, am I going to play the victim? Am I going to take accountability for that piece? So, when it comes to betrayal, I don't do a lot of forgiving. Well, I forgive. Let me take that. I take that back. I didn't say that right. So I do forgive the person, but that's for me. That don't necessarily mean that I have to continue to deal with them. So forgiving them is based on me being able to move forward, but I don't have to continue to deal with you. But when it comes to what the betrayal was and how it hurt me and how I need to move on and heal, then that's the piece where I'm looking at what can I learn from this situation where I'm not in this situation again. Like they say, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about the question.
Okay, I love
Mm-hmm.
it. I love the different perspectives. Gail, did you want to say something?
Of course I do.
I already knew.
For me, for me, the work came in for me. In retrospect of myself, is I had to not personalize the betrayal. I had to do the work to realize that the betrayal was an act that they did. It's not a reflection of me and who I am. It showed me more about who they are, and I took it
Yes.
as a lesson of a season of revelation where I was shown something, and it's up to me how what I do with it. Much like what Latoya said, you fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, here come the scissors because I'm doing this right here. But I can't control people. It's hurtful when people that you care about and love do things that you don't expect, but I don't let them stamp that on me. That's a reflection of them. I have to control how I respond to it and I have to be very mindful how I respond because I got some venom, and I'm telling you, the venom,
It's a lethal,
I
baby. It's a
have to
lethal.
control. I have to really pause. I've grown a lot in these 53 years. Just a few short little while ago. But I don't take it on me. I don't put that coat on. I let them wear that, and I control me and what I do or don't do. And I let my silence be resounding if I choose not to. And I'm okay with that.
Well, you know
Okay. And
what? Let me add this. And I find myself saying that I'm responsible for one of my last betrayal. That I didn't betray myself, but someone else did. I'm responsible because I wasn't paying attention before I even walked into what I walked into, and I was being told. So we have to figure out who we're dealing with. We have to see who we're dealing with. We have to have intuition, discernment, and that now is one of the things that I have that I was lacking previously. So now when you come in front of me, guess what? It'll be easier to, because now I understand and I can see and I can know what you're doing and saying, and I can walk away. So and I'm not going to allow you to get in to do the same things you did before.
Absolutely. I love that. And this is a thing I want to touch on too, because we talked about it a little bit last week. A lot of betrayal is usually people you know, people
Yes.
Yeah.
you trust. And so my thing for people,
Mhm.
because I've seen people come and who I've coached with, who I've talked to and different things, they understand, they see the betrayal. I why would you sit in it? Because I see a lot of people that sit in it because that's my cousin. We've been because this, that, they never address it. And so
Right.
I
Yeah.
really want to put this out to people who are in that space, because sometimes a lot of people may feel like I don't want to be confrontational. I'm gonna just deal with it. I'm gonna just go through it. But you sit and you look at the phone and you say, "Dog, I don't want to talk to them," but you answer and you keep going through this betrayal, knowing that you're doing this. You're not helping it. You're not helping yourself, and you're really
Exactly.
helping that
Exactly.
person. So how do we get to that space and place of helping those people? What are some suggestions for those people that are sitting in it? It may be your mama, it may be your sister, it may be your cousin, maybe your man. Okay, let's talk about this thing right
Yeah. One of the things that come to mind, make sure I'm not on mute. Can y'all hear me?
now. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
One of the things that come to
Mhm.
mind for me is that I think we had talked about this in a previous episode. Is someone shared this with me, is about taking the relationship out of who it is that may have hurt you or betrayed you, and just look at them as a person, right? So if you take out that, they may be your parent, or they may be, a sibling or a spouse or whomever it is, take out the relationship and look at them as just as a person, and see how you would handle the situation. Sometimes we get caught up in the relationship in terms of, who that person is to us, right? Because some people just, hold closer ties to us than others. So the betrayal feels like it's so much more overwhelming than it would be if it was just somebody that we didn't really care about. But take the relationship out of it and see how you manifest, your reaction and moving forward from there.
I
Well, some of
definitely
some
have a
of that.
question about that. Let me ask
Go
her
ahead.
really quick. How do you take the person out of, when it's a relationship? People hear you, but how do you take the relationship out? That's not an easy thing. So I
It's
want
not.
I want to give like some help on how do you take that person out. Now Tammy, I would say she really helped me in my situation that I struggled with. And what you have to learn, one of the things I want to say is that person, whoever that is, has betrayed you. They may have been there just for a minute. If it's your mom, maybe they just had to have you. And so your job is to continue to move. Now that you understand, okay, she had you. But if she had you and continued in your life, you might not be the person you were supposed to be. If that was your man and you stayed with him, you may not be able to be who you were supposed to be. So taking that person out, we have to find a reason how that's going to help us to move forward or grow, because it's hard, and we
It
have to
is.
say it's
Mhm.
hard.
It
How do
is.
you take that person out?
Yeah, it's very
Well,
hard. It just personal. Oh, I'm
woo,
sorry. Go ahead, Tam. Go ahead, girl.
woo.
Get it, Tammy.
Ah,
Jump out. I'm gonna let you go.
woo.
Raw
Some
digger girl, give it to him. Come on.
sometimes they will,
I'm
you take yourself out when you are really tired, when you
Yeah.
are really
Mhm.
tired and you can't take anymore. Your the mental stress will allow you to take yourself out of that situation. When you're about to die, you'll take yourself out of the situation. But also understand this: some things are taught and we're raised to just accept certain things. And
Yeah.
we've watched others do it, and we've watched others just stay and stay and stay. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I want my hair and my skin and my health to be good. So you have to decide and you have to choose that you want that. You have to choose that you want that. If mom stayed, that doesn't mean you have to stay.
Baby,
The children say
baby,
clock
let ooh,
that tea. That was good, Tammy. Because
Baby,
that's ooh,
Tammy, you opened up something that I said to my mother, and I think I probably was 19 years old, and she probably should knock my teeth out. But I think she understood. One thing about my parents is they encouraged us to, talk and speak out. My father got a behavioral health background, and today it bite him in the ass because I still say what I need to say. But I remember telling my mother when I was 19 or 20, and I said, I don't ever want to love somebody as much as you love him,
Mm,
because I saw how I mean, in that love, that's a different generation. That's a different generation. So they saw different things differently and how they went about marriage and relationships. And when the commitment to me, I was 19, 20. I ain't been married to anybody. I had a boyfriend, but I was like, I don't want to love anybody that much, because it's so much that comes along with that commitment to that love. So that, why do you stay? Why do we sit in anguish and we maneuver wounded and we stayed too long? And it is because of the things that we saw, the constants that were in our lives were the things that we saw that were not so much spoken. It was just at what we saw happening in front of our eyes. It wasn't necessarily an explanation. We didn't get a book on how to had a one woman show disease. It's what we saw them do with our own eyes. And in trying to heal from some things that we've accepted because we thought we were supposed to, I have learned and also encouraged other women to, when we say forgive, you have to understand forgiveness is not one dimensional. You forgive the best way that you know how, not to excuse the behavior or the hurt, but to release it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to release it, because it will fester. It will turn you into somebody that you don't know. It will have you saying and doing things that you otherwise would not do. And then you live with the greatest weight of them all, which is regret. So now you've changed who you are based on the infestation of the betrayal, the deception, and the disappointment.
ooh,
So
yes.
That's good.
find a way
Yes.
to forgive the best way that you can, not based on what somebody think you should be doing or how they
Right.
think
Right.
forgiveness works. Forgiveness works according to who you are and what you're dealing with and how you are translating it. Forgive the best way that you can, that will allow you to release and not own the act, if you will.
ooh, ooh, y'all on
Wow.
fire tonight. Y'all are so on fire. I love it. I love it. Qui said, I no longer just accept anything from anyone. And
Exactly.
at this big age, can I go there? What
Yes.
we're not gonna do,
Well, we're
okay,
not.
is just accept anything from anyone. That's why it's the spicy season, because the stuff that we used to do, we have to reintroduce them to who we are now. Because at this big age, we ain't
Absolutely.
bottom line. And like Gail just said, we don't want to live with that regret. And that's how so many people are living, in the space and place of regret. And they're like I said, living in. That means they stuck. They're
Right.
existing instead
Right.
Right.
of moving forward. And so that's why we come in here with this, because we got to move past all of that. A lot of times when we get to this big age, we think, oh, and people love to say, I got more days behind me than in front of me. And so, being that you know that we should be doing something different, don't you think? Because at this
Hey,
big age, okay, you might say that, but you
right.
need to move like you understand
I
that.
understand.
And staying in regret is saying that you haven't understand that, and you're not healing from that betrayal. We got to move forward and not stay stuck in it. And that's what many of us do because, like Tammy and Gail just explained, it's what we've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Everything that we've been taught, okay, let's catch that. Okay, we saw it, we caught it. Now we're going to understand we got to drop that habit. We're not
Right.
doing that.
Right.
Okay? We don't have to do what our mama and everybody talk about mama them. You got to do what mama them did.
Well, you know, the other thing about it is people use religion
Yes.
Woo, girl.
for staying, and then people are fearful, and there are a lot of women out there who don't have enough confidence in themselves to even start to step out. They're so dependent,
Yes.
and but we could go deep with this. Let me
Come on
stop.
now.
Let's go on healing.
Come on, Tammy.
But instead of them staying stuck in it, our thing is growing tonight. So we don't want them to stay stuck in it. We want them to move past it. So the next,
that's why we're here. That's why
right,
we're speaking and stating this to them.
because yes, we want you to move past it. So the next question is, what role has therapy, journaling, or spiritual practices played in your healing journey? And I promise you, probably almost every podcast that we've done, we have advocated for therapy because so many days and so many years, year on top of year, as we were growing up, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But we are big advocates of therapy, of journaling, and spiritual practices. We didn't say a lot of people get stuck in religion, and that's not what we're talking about. So let's talk about this: the spiritual healing, that journaling, that therapy. Y'all probably, if y'all have been here before, y'all know our stance on therapy, but we're gonna say it again.
Yeah.
We love therapy. We
Yes,
believe in therapy. It really helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with going to a therapist. I had two life coaches and I had a therapist. I had two spiritual advisors and a life coach. Okay. And it is so important because each one of them brought a different perspective to me. And I was able to work through everything. And I did also journal. And my journal probably is about this thick. And that did help me get things out and help me see and think and just understand what was going on inside of me. So when you journal, you are writing down what's happening with you and what's going on. And so when you go back and look, and sometimes you're surprised at even what you wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
And how
you go-
you've grown when you look at it.
Right.
This
And
is
how
a
you,
big
yes,
part of journaling. One
exactly.
of the things that I want to tell you as you journal, you need to write down, okay, where are you? Because you have to acknowledge where you are. Okay, where am I? What do I need to let go of? Mhm. How does letting go look? Because
Yes.
we need to know how it looks. Okay. And then what are those steps that I need to take to get there to let go? Okay. So you need to recognize and acknowledge where you are. And then what do you need to do? How does it look? You need to have a vision, a picture for how this new great thing that you want to do to move past this space that you're in. And then you actually write out the steps that
Yes.
you're going to take or the
Yes.
things that you're going to do. A lot of people just journal and they all angry throughout. And that's a way of getting it out. You can be angry and you writing it down or whatever. And then you want to talk to this person and that person and it's all anger. That's not healing you. You got to have some type of step to show you how to grow or some type of thing. So if you write it down and you angry all the time and you just angry and you going to talk, no, go get somebody to help you. Go get you a therapist, go get you a life coach, all of that. Because that's what I used to do. I'm telling you what I used to be so angry and I used to have a plot and a plan, baby. And I used to be cussing up something when I was journaling. I'm just being truthful. And so I get myself together because I wasn't growing. And so since 2022, I have had a therapist and I still have a therapist that I see on a weekly basis.
Yes, I have a similar experience with the journaling, but just to give you a little backstory, I've studied journaling. I've worked with a journaling coach. I co-facilitated journaling sessions for youth. And, so I'm like, okay,
I'm pretty good at this thing. But when I went through a situation and I started journaling to get the things, out of my head, into the universe, when I was journaling, I went back and I was reading, and it was so negative and dark. I had to stop, because when I would go back and read, it was taking me back to that place. And I was like, this can't be healthy, but it was me doing it on my own. So I had to, seek out the therapist, that I was using at that time. But when I went back and looked at that journaling, it kind of brought up, some of the emotions, some of the things that I was trying to get rid of. And I'm like, this is not right, So definitely, I'm a huge advocate of therapists. And one of the things that we talked about in the previous episode for me was being open, honest, and transparent with myself about what was going on, how I was feeling, in order to have the therapist be able to help me based on my truth versus what the non-reality or the non-truth was that I wanted to happen, or I wanted to be true. So, being able to, be open and honest with yourself, because if we can't be open and honest with ourselves, we can't be open and honest with the therapist that we're paying good money to help us, right? So I don't want them to be able to help me on a false truth. I need them to be able to help me on the reality and give me some actionable steps that I can use to get through this process.
Well, meditation, prayer, sitting by yourself, writing down what triggers you, writing down what makes you feel good. When you go to a certain place and space, how do you feel? If you don't like the way you feel, don't go there anymore. When you're around certain people and they make you feel a certain way, you don't like the way they make you feel, don't go there anymore. Start paying attention to you and what you like and what you don't like, what's good for you and what's not. Look at it as poison. You wouldn't drink poison, would you? So put it down, move away from it, get rid of it. And that's just in everyday life. We have one life to live, and tomorrow's not promised. So let's do the work now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some
Tammy,
people
that's
are.
so good that you said that.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Gal.
Nat.
No, you're fine. Because I'm probably going to be on that same page you on. Go ahead.
I'm so happy that, Tammy did say that about this, taking the steps, and everybody has so many gems. And I want everybody, the Spicy Squad, everybody new that's liked and subscribed. I want you to remember that, the steps that you're taking towards being better, and then you find yourself still being drawn back to that negativity. You want to remove yourself and establish boundaries with these particular people, person, and places, right? And you still keep finding yourself drawing. That is a sign for you to do more of introspection of yourself,
Yes.
because it's all, a lot of times we can point the finger and say, oh, they disrespected me, you betrayed me, you lie, you're a deceiver, but also we have to look at us. Or why are we still in these circles? Why do we continue to gravitate to these certain circles and these certain type of people?
Ooh,
So when you
yes.
find yourself still going back to you got to start looking more in the mirror and not out the window, because what's outside doesn't impact you unless you allow it. So that's what we give ourselves.
Yes.
3 things I tell people all the time: give yourself grace, give yourself a chance to do something differently, and give yourself permission to do it. It's
Yes.
all
Absolutely.
in us. We
Love
control
it.
us.
Love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. What you just said. You talked about, as you moving forward, give yourself this chance. And one of the things that many people do, they'll go from man to man to man. Really, they got the same man. He just got a different name, a different face, but they got the same traits. They
Yeah.
do the same things. So at that point, if you see that is happening, and even with the friends, you go from friend to friend to friend.
Yes.
Every time, if this same thing keeps coming up, you gotta understand that they're an issue, but you are too.
You
And
are
like
too.
you said, you got to look at it, because if you really think about, we don't really think sometimes, oh, I got a new man. You don't think you have a type, but every time, I'm telling you, if you look, and and then coaching people, and they come back, they may be healed, and then they come back, and as they start to talking, this sounds like who you was talking about before. But who is this? Is this somebody different? Yeah, different name.
You sure this a different
different face, different face, but really they just the same person.
Same person.
Yeah.
Same movements. Yes.
And so as you
shoes.
start to do that, you've got to start looking at what is it about me that keeps allowing me to attract myself to these people? What am I not doing? How do I need to move forward? And that's where the work comes in, because many times we just don't want to do it. And you know why? Because it's hard. We got to do hard things. And so that's why we're talking about this. And so going into this is a very important question. How has betrayal changed the way you set your boundaries or choose who gets to get close to you? And this is what I'm talking about, the work. Because if you really set those boundaries and choose who can be close to you, you're not going to keep getting the same man with a different name, because that's all that happens. You just getting the same person. That's all.
Yeah.
But on the outside, but on the inside, they the same one. So how has your setting boundaries changed that? How do you not let these people keep getting close to you and keep bamboozling you? I'm not trying to be funny or whatever, but we got to call a spade and say what it is. And if you continue to do this, you got to look at yourself. And you know, I've heard so many people, I have such a good heart. I just don't know why people do that to me. Because you allow them, because you haven't set the boundaries. And we don't think that this is a joke or anything, but this is real.
This is real.
That's why we do this podcast, because we want to bring the real. We are not babysitting. We are not holding hands, baby. We toe stepping, so that you can understand that, you know what, I do need to do this. And it's so many mistakes each and every one of us have made. And I wish somebody would have told me. But now in this spicy season, baby, I'm going to tell you what somebody should have told me.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that the betrayal for me has helped me to identify the red flags sooner, right? And not be in denial, you know, if it's a red flag or not. And, you know, I say, don't get in the habit of collecting red flags, because one is enough. And I've done enough work on myself to where, you know, I'm at a good place. I'll always be healing, right? I'll always be trying to improve. Right. But I've done a good play. I feel like I've done a good job to in the healing process. And I'm enjoying, you know, my peace. And if anything comes in to disrupt that peace, my cutoff game is strong.
Oh, yeah.
Off, you know, real fast. When before the previous people pleaser, I would continue to, you know, give chances and opportunities, baby, but not today, because my peace is priceless. And I'm identifying those red flags a lot sooner than I did before. And it's my peace is it's not compromisable. So I just have to stand on my boundaries. And that it's a work in progress, but it's a lot better today than it was, you know, yesterday and the day before.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So with that being said, what's one boundary that you wish you had in place before the betrayal, and how have you implemented it now?
Are you asking me specifically or anybody?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Toya. Go ahead, Toya.
Specifically right now.
So for me, and I know the betrayal is different for everyone. And how do I want to say this? So for me, identifying, I have to come to realization that everybody don't move and shake like I do. You know, if I say I'm going to do something or be somewhere, that's what I'm going to do. So now I have I don't want to say a sixth sense, but I listened to my gut a little bit more than I did before.
There you go.
She was talking before, but
Discernment,
yeah,
intuition.
we wasn't in relationship, with the gut. So I do pay a lot more attention to my intuition now. And that's something that I probably didn't do as much before because of, who the person was that betrayed me, because I'm vulnerable because of who the person was. So I'm not listening to the intuition like I should have before. So now when my intuition speaks, I'm listening. I'm like, what you say, girl? So we're more in relationship now than we were before. And I'm doing more of tapping into listening to it a bit more.
And that's pushing the relationship out like you just talked about. Gotcha.
Yes.
Well,
I love that.
last week I spoke on this, and I'll say it again. Your body temperature, your body will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You will know. You will feel. You get this feeling in your body, and you'll know. People are speaking to you and talking to you. You get feelings.
Yeah.
You'll know. It's amazing. It's once you've done the work, you'll know. Those red flags just start whoop, 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 all over the place, and you'll know. You just know sometimes.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
am more attentive now, Tammy, as you say that. At
Yeah.
first, I am more attentive, and look for those signs and
Yes.
listen to the signs when
Yes.
I didn't do it as much before.
Right. Right. And that doesn't mean, just don't think that everybody's against you, or just really take the time to pay attention, because it's important. Because there's some real people out there that can really fool you. They're really good at it. So that's why you need to work on your intuition, your discernment, and watch for those red flags.
Another thing in reference to the boundaries are set yourself with some boundaries. A lot of times, we're saying we're putting them up with them. And one of the things that I believe that people need to set boundaries on are their lips, because loose lips sink ships. And we sometimes do too much talking when we need to be quiet. Okay.
Ooh.
We need to watch those ships, the fellowships, the friendships, all of those type of ships that you can have, relationships. Okay. Each and every one of the ships, and we got many ships that we have. Okay. And we got to pay attention to each and every one of those ships.
Yeah.
Situation ships, we got them too. And,
Yeah.
and we just try to be like, oh, because a situation ship, you kind of in and kind of one toe in, one toe out. We have to have the boundaries. And like I said, the first thing is have bounds for yourself.
Yeah.
Loose lips, sink ships.
Well, Renette, the Bible says that the tongue is behind the lips and the teeth for a reason.
Mm.
Say that. Say that. Definitely. So with that being said, okay, so let's talk about this. Because this I definitely see. How have you noticed yourself outgrowing certain relationships since the beginning of your healing journey? Because I know y'all have seen this.
Wow.
Read that again, Renette.
How have you noticed yourself outgrowing certain relationships since beginning your healing journey? And I know we've been in it. And what's so scary? It's not scary, but it's like, whoa. What about the people in your family, the people that you're dealing with every day, and you've outgrown them? Because as you start on this journey, that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
True. And it's
Yeah.
happened.
And we need to embrace the change.
Yes.
We need to care more about our peace and our growth than we do all those shifts that you mentioned. And unfortunately, we battle and we struggle internally with ourselves because we feel so much allegiance to these relational associations,
Right.
whether it's the family, your cousins, people you grew up with that you feel a relational loyalty to, but they are detriments to your growth. And we battle our own growth because we feel like we so focused on being loyal to other people more so being loyal to ourselves. And then I keep
Yes.
hitting a standstill, or I'm
Yes.
in a stagnant season. No, you're not doing the work. You are what Renee often says, you are your own, how you say it, Nat? You are your
You are
own
the
weapon. You
weapon
forming the
formed
own
against
weapon against
yourself,
yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So, we have to stop being so allegiant, to these ships and these relationships. I've outgrown a lot of things and a lot of people. And I will
Yes.
tell you, I was so torn because I was comfortable and I could do those other things very easily. I could maneuver and maintain those relationships very easily, but it was embracing the growth and doing the work that God set before me to do. That took action, that took commitment, it took sacrifice, and I didn't want to do it. I'm good over here being this chick right here because I'm comfortable. I know how to do that. But I had to learn how to grow into the steps that he laid before me so that I could grow. And once I started seeing the freedom and being in that space, I will not do life any other way.
Either
And
way.
baby, I promise you, you could feel however you want to about me, that I've changed. I'm acting funny. I'm going to tell you, I hope so. But my question is, why haven't you changed?
Why
Why
haven't you
haven't
done the
you?
work?
The
Hmm.
baby, when you get a taste of that peace, you get a taste of that growth, when you start
Oh,
meeting that side of yourself that you didn't know was in there. Oh, baby, I love this chick. I love
yes.
her. I don't need
Yes.
you to validate me. I don't need you to love me. I love this chick right here, baby. And I paid a hefty price to get here. And you do not have to explain your journey to other people. Only commit to yourself to get there.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Ooh,
Yes, ma'am.
nice.
Sam, you said that, you put it down.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. Yes, you got to love yourself. And most of us, even everybody in the audience, I'm sure you paid hefty prices to get to where you are. So I want to ask, I'm asking us, but I want you all in the audience as well to comment on this. What strengths did you discover because of your betrayal? What strengths did you discover in
Mhm.
yourself
Oh,
because of
wow.
your betrayal? I want to hear from the audience as well. What strengths? And I know one of the things that I mean,
Wow.
I've gained several strengths because of it. And one of the things that I think many of us have probably gotten is resilience. We have really understood that, you know what, I have resilience. I have push through. I can keep going no matter what. I'm going to keep going. And a lot of times before you did the work and all that kind of stuff, it was breakdown, it was stop, it was quit. I'm still stuck and stagnant. But if you have really stepped up, then that resilience kicks in. That resilience, you taking action, you moving forward. So what are those things? I'm looking in the audience now. Let's see. Resilience. Okay,
Resilience.
resilience. What else have we learned? What have y'all? What are the strengths y'all have learned through betrayal?
I've learned how to, I mean, after divorce and the kids growing up and doing their own thing,
Perseverance.
um, I've had to learn how to cook. Had to learn how to balance the checkbook. I've had to learn how to sit by myself in private. I've had to learn how to do a whole host of things, and that goes with taxes and do and do and do and do and do. But now I'm independent.
So you
I'm at
want independence.
I'm
Okay.
more, yeah, I'm more independent. And let me tell you something. I always say this, when we're coming up, and some of us can relate. You watched your great grandmother, your grandmother, your mother, and now you fight through to make things happen for the family. Okay. So some that kicks in as well. So sometimes you just have to. You either gonna sink or you're going to swim to the shore. So it's up to you. I don't want to drown, and I don't want any of my sisters out there to drown. And I always say, I like to see you fight up. So Get out there. Don't be scared. Don't be fearful. Get out there and do what you're supposed to do. And a lot of ladies in the chat today, they're out there doing what they're supposed to do. And they're making it happen. And they're making it happen beautifully.
Absolutely. What are some other things
Absolutely.
that you've learned through betrayal? What are the strengths?
Who was that too?
I see Lisa says she learned to
Everybody,
trust
yes,
herself.
I just put that in there because that's a great one. Learning to trust yourself through that, because there's so many times that we don't trust ourselves, and if you can't trust yourself, who can you trust? You know what I'm saying? I trust God, and a lot of times we will trust God, but we don't trust ourselves enough to move forward. Therefore, you have to rely on the strength of God to
Mhm.
move forward, because it's hard for people, especially us as Black and brown women. It's hard. I love what Marissa said, finding joy within. Oh my gosh, because that's really, really big. Finding that
Yes.
joy within after you feel like you've been through betrayal. Because
Yes.
a lot of times people are seeking happiness, and
Yeah.
happiness can be temporary. Joy is something that's forever. It's just down in your soul. It's within. It's
Yes.
within you, and it's
Yes.
something that you have inside of you. Happiness is more of an outside factor, and so I just really love that. I love that. That is just so amazing.
Mhm.
Anything else we left out that y'all want to say about what you gained from
You
betrayal?
know what, Nat? I, you know what I wanted to mention also, Nat, one of the things that was huge for me is learning how to enjoy being by myself. After being married and raising children, you learn, it's a process of learning how to enjoy your own company
That's
and
deep.
enjoying being in your own space and learning who you are, at this big age and at this stage in life, learning who you are and embracing that and stepping out in that. That was a big process for me, and I love it. I love it here.
Yes. And I do too.
Absolutely.
And I do 3.
I do four. I
And
love that. I love. You understand? Hey, hey. Tamalar said my worth. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I love it.
yes.
I love that. Your worth, your value,
Boom.
so
Yes.
important. But that was big, Gail. Yourself. You're enjoying yourself, because you know how many people before they were betrayed, they wouldn't go out to eat by themselves. They wouldn't go to a movie by themselves. They just would go
Wow.
nowhere by themselves. And betrayal does teach people how to do that. I've always been more of a person who loved to be by myself.
Me
So
too.
that betrayal did not change that. It made me want to be by myself more, but it made
More.
me really sit with myself and really introspect and look at what has gone on. Because a lot of times I struggled, and I don't know if other people do too. I struggled with going deep. I just wanted to stay surface, because when you go deep, that's when you got to do the real work. That's when you feel the hurt, the pain. And as long as I'm surface and I don't go deep, I could keep on moving even through the betrayal, because I never really. But what happens is one day the ceiling gonna hit the fan, and it's gonna be like, ooh,
Yes.
like it's not gonna be good.
Right. Right.
So I think this has been such an amazing, amazing conversation. And
Yes.
so I just think that as you leave here and you've been through betrayal, you go through betrayal, to take some of these steps and really move forward in them. Get
Right.
around a good space and a tribe and all that kind of stuff. And just because you in a tribe, sometimes people come in tribes for different reasons. And you
Ooh.
have to be able to discern, because people do have ulterior motives. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody you meet don't mean you're supposed to be all, connected to them. Take time. Some people are in such a rush. That's one of the things I want to say. Take time to
Right.
make sure that you do get to know people.
Right.
Yeah.
And even though you get to know them, they could play and be somebody they not.
Mm-hmm.
Check that gut,
Mm-hmm.
discernment, all of that.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
many things that we need to do at this big age, because we don't want to keep going through this. That's why we're having this conversation, because we need to do something different. So,
Renette,
yes,
if it's okay, I'd like to say something.
of
And
course.
this is something that we're talking about, a healing process. So in a healing process, and we have to understand that there are different stages of betrayal. And so we have to look at betrayal versus abandonment versus grief, because sometimes it could all feel the same.
Mhm.
So when you go to a counselor, or you get help, understand what it is you're going through, because you can go through betrayal with people. Abandonment means you lost something or lost someone, and then there's the grief of that. So pay attention to those three things when you're talking about and you're speaking about your healing. And those things, that's part of what needs to be dealt with as well.
And that's why you need a therapist. That's why you need
Right.
a counselor, because you don't really always know
Absolutely.
that. Because
Right.
until I went to a therapist, I didn't know my whole life was full of trauma. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was normal for me because I was living in it day and night,
Mm-hmm.
night and day since I've been a child. Actually, she told me before I came from my mother's womb, I was born in trauma. And so
Wow.
that's tough
Wow.
when you do that. So
Wow.
you have to go and find out the answers. Understand this. I know y'all might not want to hear it at this big age because you think, oh, I got the wisdom. We don't know everything.
We don't.
I'm saying that lightly, but we don't know everything. So
Mm-hmm.
as we end, I want to
No.
say this. How can your healing story or journey help other women go that are going through the same thing? How can it help? If you have a story out there that you've been keeping to yourself that you know you need to tell, share your story, because your story can change their life, but it also can change your life. But as long as I kept my stuff to myself because I was afraid, because I was embarrassed, because I felt like people, I heard somebody say one time, you know she ain't about nothing. If she don't get along with her mama, she got a problem. That
It's
was
not necessarily that way.
Right.
correct. So that's why we need to always don't let what you hear shut you down. Tell your story. That's what we want to encourage you to do. Tell your story, share your story, because that's
Yeah.
going to help somebody else. It totally is. Hey, Yolanda, thank y'all so much for coming on and joining us. We are here every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We so appreciate you all for joining us. And before we go, if
Yes.
this is your first time here, can you put a 1 in the comments? We want to give y'all some thank yous and some love. If it's your first time here, we want to know, and we want to welcome you. We're giving everybody love, but we definitely want to welcome you to the podcast. Yes, Marissa, yay! Okay, Marissa,
Hey.
hey, Kim, welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you,
Now,
Marissa, Yolanda, Kim. Come on through, newbies. Yes.
this is not your, don't let it be your last time, okay?
Yes.
We welcome you and we thank you for joining us, but this can't be the last time, okay?
No.
If you here for the second time, let us see a 2 in the comments. Yeah, we got an OG. I'm getting to the OGs. If you hear like 2 to 3 times, let us know that. That's me. That's me. Put a 2 in the comments. 2 in the comments. This your second, okay? Put a 2 in the comments. And if you are OG, put OG up in the comments.
OG Kiwi. She put
Icy
OG.
Squad.
Yes,
Yes.
OG,
thank you
stand
for
up.
sharing. We definitely want sharing. Marissa says, I'll be back. Yes,
Yeah.
thank y'all for sharing. Sharing is caring. This is not about us. Because if y'all really knew our story and the hell that we go through, if I could be honest, but we fight through it. We fight
Yeah.
up, as Tammy always says, and it always happens beautifully. And so we
Yes.
know that other women are going through it too. It's not just us, but we
Right.
want to be that platform to help other women to move past it and show up for themselves anyway.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we love to share with other women. So as many
Yes.
people as we can get this out to, we want to do it. We want to do it. So thank
Yes.
y'all so much for joining us. Don't forget about the spicy challenge. Again, we are inviting people to the page. We're letting people know about us. And then the person who invites the most people this next week coming up, you get a prize. This week's winner is Tiffany, aka Miss Positive Hall. And we thank her for all of that again.
Yes,
And
thank you, Tiffany.
Congratulations.
thank you again. And as you move forward through this week, no matter what happens, understand that things go right. I'm sorry, things go wrong so that they can go right.
Right.
Yes.
We see that happening. We understand that you're going to make it happen beautifully.
Beautifully.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, so good
Yes.
night and keep it spicy.
Love you. Good night.
Love y'all. Good night.